Hello everyone, welcome to Buttered Gaming. I'm Buttered Host the Third, and today we are again not going to be doing gaming. I'm going to kind of continue my little Java tutorial for beginners thing that I started, and as you can see we are in Eclipse, and I did open up the same workspace that I had open last time. Today I guess we're just going to be making our own little program, and I'm just going to be talking about parts of it, and hopefully it makes sense whatever I say. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new Java project just because, just to keep it separate for me. Again, I will have all this information up on ButteredGaming.com/source, and I did actually kind of fix some of what that page looks like, so it's a little different now. There is a view and a download button in there, so you can download or just view the code if you want. So anyway, let's move on. I will be commenting in the program a lot for those of you who want to download or view the program. So for project name, it doesn't really matter, I guess. I will just call it episode 2. Easy enough. So there it is. So here's your source again. So we're going to create a new, right-click, create new class, and you can call it whatever you'd like. I don't know, we can call it simple. Finish. But then remember, this does it for you in Eclipse, but for those of you who are not doing it in Eclipse, you have to remember to do the simple thing. So while we're here, while I have you, we're just going to look at, there are some keywords that are involved in creating what is called a class. So as you can see here, there is public, and your kind of main method must be contained in a class that is public. Public meaning that anything within the directory can see this class. If it's private, only kind of methods, I guess. I'll tell you what methods are in a minute. Only methods within the class itself can view any information within this class. It's kind of for security, so that certain, like, hackers can't see certain files. So anyway, there's also what is called a class, and the class is basically this whole thing here. And you can tell what's defined in the class by these opening and closing brackets. Basically what those are is it's for the program for the computer rather, to know when a block of code starts and stops. I'll show you another set that comes after the brackets later in the program. In the video, I guess I should say. So first of all, just so I can comment for you all, if you do / like that, you can create a comment. Also, if you have comments that will span multiple lines of code, you can create this kind of thing. It did it for me in Eclipse, but I kind of wanted to show you. But you can do a / and then an asterisk, and then asterisks all the way down until you have another / after the last asterisk. And this is for code that will span multiple lines. So then if I came down here, comments rather, this is not for code, it's for comments. So if I came down here and I typed after here, it's not a comment, as you can see. So if I was to make another line, Eclipse again does it for me. But here we are, and we can do comments. Both forms of comments will not be seen by the compiler. So when you hit this little play button up here, or when you compile it using the command line or the terminal, if that's what you're doing, the compiler will basically skip anything that's in the comment, that's in a comment block. So So as you can see, these two forward slashes are only commenting this first line. So if I was to go down here, this is not commented out. Oops. There. So as you see, it's yelling at me because it's not real code. But as for everything within there, and in Eclipse, it's all green. So there you go. So just so I can comment for you. So this is class that is public. And we named it simple because that's what I called the file. This name here must be the same as the file before the extension. And it is case sensitive, so be careful with that. Brackets tell the compiler where blocks of code end. For example, if I had an if statement, I'll talk about those in a later video. But if I had something like this and I did those curly brackets, everything within here don't worry about that. What is wrong here? Yeah. Get into it. Don't worry what an if statement is yet. So if I actually had some code in here, it would actually help. But everything within the curly braces for the if statement is interpreted by the compiler to be within the if statement. So don't really worry what the if statement is, but just know that the curly braces are containing the if. So I will fix that later because I will do variables later and we can do something with that. And then we can, another thing you can look at is system.out.println, which is something we did last. I know what the problem is. So I wanted to show you all this, but I did leave out something that's kind of important. So I will show you about that in a moment. But just know you can put whatever in the if statement. And as you can see, there is a system kind of thing here, and it's contained in the Java API, which basically comes with the compiler, so the compiler will know what to do here. And this basically references your system. And .out.println is going to print a line to the screen. And if I were to put something in, either I could put something in quotation marks for what is called a literal, and it'll take literally what I type in here and print it to the screen. And in the case of Eclipse, it'll print it down here in the console. But if you're doing it in command line, it'll print it right in the command prompt, or the terminal if you're on a Mac. So one thing that I did kind of forget to do is you need a public static void main string args little thing there. And what that does, this all needs to be in there. Yeah, I know. This null isn't going to work. So what this does basically is this. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and put one of those in. This defines the main method, and basically what that tells the compiler is that this is the code to execute when the program is run. So when the program is run, this will be executed. This block of code between this bracket and this bracket down here. You won't need one of those in a like external class file. I'll talk about those in a later video. So I'm kind of being a little choppy here, and I apologize for that, but we're going to keep going as we are. So we can talk about these a little bit. I talked about public already, but as for static, the static keyword, what that basically says is that the block of code between the brackets will not be permanently changing data, changing value, I guess. And again, I talked about the main method. Tells it that it's basically running, and within these parentheses are the arguments and the parameters kind of that go into the program, the method, I guess. Within the parentheses are the arguments that will go into the method. So in this case, we have a string, which is basically a kind of list of either characters or numbers. So I want money, a lot of money, is a string. And args, again, is basically, it stands for arguments. So that's that. So I already talked about the system.println. Everything within the quotation marks is a literal. Yeah, I talked about that already. So one thing you do have to look out for in Java programming is this little semicolon. You must have a semicolon at the end of every statement. So as you notice, the if does not have a semicolon because it is a block of code. But the system.out.println will, because this is telling the compiler, basically in Java, the reason for it is that white space is basically ignored. Just like in HTML, if any of you have any experience with that. So if I didn't have this and I went to the next line, it's going to think that I'm still going with the code. And as you can see, it's kind of yelling at me because I don't have the semicolon to complete block statements. So if I want to complete the line, I have to put the semicolon there, and that tells the compiler that basically that I'm done with the statement. So there you go. One thing I do want to talk about are variables. So you have in Java, you have multiple variable types. You have an int, standing for integer, which holds only whole number values. So you cannot have decimals, basically, is what that means. So if I did int and then variable name, you can name it whatever you want, just remember what it is, first variable. And then you can just stop right there, not even give it a value if you want. Or when you declare it, you can also do equals, which is the assignment operator, and then you can give it a value. So in this case, you must have a number like 1. You cannot, it has to be full of whole number. It cannot be 1.5. It just doesn't work. It's not the correct type. And you also have double, which is just what it says, which holds decimal values. So I could have double and then variable name, second variable, and then equals 1.5 if I want, as I showed you earlier. So as you can see, it doesn't give me an error this time. Even if I did just 1, it does work, but it will automatically assign 0.0 on the end of it if you try to use that variable. So doubles are good for using like percents, or for using if you're manipulating money values or something, just go with it. Another one we have char, which stands for character, and that holds a single letter or number value. But if you use char, you cannot manipulate it like an integer. So if I had 2 integers, I could add them together or something, but if you have characters with numbers in it, you can't really do it that way. Alright, so anyway, I have a char, and it's our third variable. You can name it whatever you'd like. Equals, but this time you have to have these single quotations, or commas, I guess you can call them. And this tells the compiler that it is indeed a character. So if I put A in here, it would work just as well as if I put 1. So we'll go ahead and keep it A. And then, of course, you have to end the statement. And then kind of the last one that's used kind of often is, again, string, which is a kind of a line, or it's like a string. You string together a bunch it's a line of characters or numbers. So if I had string fourth variable, it's not like in this, oh, there it goes, okay, equals, and then this time you have to have the double quotation, so like the actual quotation marks. And in this case, you have to put in, you can put in whatever you want. This is a string. It can contain letters, symbols, and numbers, like 5. There. So that's an entire string. And then, of course, you have to complete the statement. So those are kind of variables. So if I just wanted to get rid of this, I can do if first variable equals 1. And as you'll notice, I do have this equals instead of the equals, because the equals is assigning values. Equals is comparing values. And then other operators that you can use is basically and. If you use the double and, this will say if the first variable equals 1 and the second variable equals 1.5, then complete the if statement. And I'm not using the third or the fourth variable at all, which is why this is giving me those kind of errors. But you can also do or, which is those 2 double lines, and that's the, if you hit shift and then the backslash button, which is right above enter, then it'll give you those. Those are or. Or third variable equals a, and fourth variable equals oops, and then you can type all that out if you want to, or you can put in another variable name. So in this case, I'm just going to say if it's equal to itself, which it always is going to be. Yeah, and it doesn't really like that at all. Compared identical expressions. Yes, I know. So if I took this, created a second string, it's not going to like it because it's got the same name, so we can go fifth variable. And if I change it down here to fifth variable, it is exactly the same, so it's going to be correct. Or even, I could make it something completely different and say, this is a second string, see below. These will still work. This if statement will still compute because it could do if this one or this one is true, and the first statement at least will be true, but not the second statement. So there's your variable name, as you can see, and it doesn't need quotations or anything. So we have equals equals is for comparing, while equals is for assigning, and is basically saying first statement and second statement is true. And then we have this is basically saying first statement, or here we can do and second statement is true. In the context of what's below. So a lot of what you see there is so that's going to be probably it for this video. There's something else that I was going to show you, which are methods. Again, this is itself a method, but I don't want to get too in depth with that yet. So there it is, and I hope I did a good job with that. I was kind of choppy with what I was saying, but I hope I explained it enough. I hope I have the whatever this I hope I have all the comments. I hope they all make sense. I hope everything does make sense for you. Hope you can see it. So if you want to see it, go again. I'll have the link in the description below, of course. So alright, I'm gonna get out of here. So thank you very much for watching. This is not how you spell permanently, apparently. It's not gonna give me how to spell permanently. Permanently. Nah, I got it. Alright, so thank you very much for watching, and hope you come again next time.
Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you haven't seen the first one, click on the previous playlist upload down below. And if you want to see another one of my videos, a Minecraft video, go ahead and click on there.